Hello. Seconds.
Hey, Vim.
Do you hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
Wait a minute. My audio is not switching to my headsets. Okay, then we do it without. It's probably fast. All right. So, where are we? Let me get the agenda, right? Or the meeting minutes. Let's share. Share screen. All right. You see my screen?
Yep.
All right. Okay, doc. So then, yeah, I didn't put in, I was off last week, so I haven't done too much. Huh? Okay. So, what do we have as agenda topics? We did a release, I saw, right?
Yeah, I saw
Yes.
there was a new release. Are the docs also updated? I think I quickly checked at some point and they weren't, but I don't know if that's changed. I only saw it briefly on Thursday.
And so 0.2.2 is 0.2.2, I think, right? Is the one that we did?
I am not fully sure right now what the tag was. Yeah, 2. Wait, that's the published one. Let me double check if the pipeline ran or not to publish them as well. I have to admit I did not double check finally. I saw some GitHub actions running, and yeah, I think I assumed it was.
This is
It
what
failed. Vim, if you go up to the top here, it says update, and it's got a cross next to it above the file list. So I'm guessing that it didn't release the docs.
What is that? Process completed. Ah. Okay, we need to update the actions. Right?
If you open this publish
Yeah, click on publish.
workflow.
Scroll up. There must be an arrow somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so it's the
that.
version, I think. See, there's a syntax.
This is from K4.
Yeah, there's a syntax error in the versions. Oops. Here, huh? Interesting.
It was complaining about something else, I think. It was complaining.
Okay, well, we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, so what went into it was mainly 2 things. That was the issue you've reported, Alex, with the again scrambled XML elements, right?
Ordered list.
No, it was not the ordered list. It
No,
was
XML expects the key element to be listed first in each and every element, right? And we fixed that before, but it seems like there was it was not properly tested or whatever. So yeah, we somehow seem to have introduced a change there, and this ordering, this proper ordering got lost, right? So that was includes the fix for that, and Mark was complaining about the no-op target not being wired through all the way. I don't know if that also got lost or it was never there. But he said he would need that for some CI/CD pipeline, whatever. So yeah, that's the fix for that as well, to bring the no-op back in all the way.
Okay. All right. So what else anything else on the release that for this week that we need to pay attention to? Anything burning? Let me put it that way.
no. We'll test this new version once the. I mean, okay, we can also manually bump the version in the deployment manifest, but we'll test out this version as well. And yeah, if anything else comes up, then I'll obviously open an issue. But
There is nothing. What I'm trying to say is that, like last week, there was an issue that we want to tackle, right? So there is nothing this week. Right? Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
Given that Gurgly is on the call, should we quickly go to CNCF just to see what is happening? Just quickly. Do you have an update, Gurgly?
No, unfortunately not. I'm still waiting for now the CNCF lawyers to get back with, or let's say, final offer. We still need to wait for them to get back with an answer. But
Okay.
I wanted to discuss a bit with you or participation in the Silver Working Group 6 hackathon. I'm just getting the details there. So this is something what will happen, I think, in November, and this is piggybacked to CNTF at Swisscom. And what they are aiming for is to create a one-day event where they would try to integrate different CNFs with tools in the Kubernetes space, and SDC was explicitly mentioned in the invitation mail. I'm just looking for the actual mailing here.
I mean, if we have the people, we should do. I mean, I think we should do that, right? And maybe if you can forward the information.
Yes, I will send you the details. At the moment, the best information is an open pull request. It's not very structured yet.
But I feel, I mean, I don't know whether other people have a different opinion, but we should participate in this if we can. Yeah. Anyone differently? And we need to organize ourselves around it, I guess, right? But I feel, yeah, this is important, right?
I also have a feeling, and now there is a discussion in Silva about the whole approach, meaning that how to connect Yang-based configuration and the cloud native ecosystem. And one, of course, SDC is one obvious choice there, but others think that we should just leap over this phase and not use Yang at all.
Okay. Yeah, unless we can make it simple, right? I mean, if we take the lead, why should people have an objection to it? Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now I found the 2 pages which are kind of relevant. So this is the event page at the moment. And they are working on an update, which is in this merge request.
Okay. Maybe we should analyze this and maybe discuss it next time, right? When we meet.
Yeah, and Joas Trudeau from Swisscom is one of the organizers there, and the idea is that it would be in Bern before the CNTF, which is in November 25, 26. So this hackathon would be on 24th of November. That's the current working assumption.
Okay. November 24th.
Yes.
In Bern.
Yes. Just put this message also. So this was coming from you, Joel. I will keep you updated as I get more info about this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, yeah, whether people agree, but we should, I feel that we should try to participate in this if we can. Yeah.
I think, yes, there is a demand for, let's say, for SDC participation. I have that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree there.
Okay, so let's maybe analyze it and we can discuss it next time, right? Or next meeting, if that's okay.
Yep. Good.
All right, then anything else, Gergely?
Nothing from my side.
Okay, thanks. So then I think we need to probably discuss the secret sites more, right? Or is there other topics people want to have a discussion about? Okay, so then on the secret side, so I did implement the, what is it? Yeah, I put, by the way, the information in the GitHub.
Just a quick one. The page itself says it's 2 days.
Yeah, it seems to, yeah.
Yes, sorry, that's my mistake. I forgot that it's 2 days. So yeah, correct. It is 2 days.
Where is top GitHub? Yeah, okay, yeah, but let's, yeah, figure out the logistics. Probably there will be might be some changes from what I hear, right? So they're starting to organize or trying to organize.
Yeah, it's in the very beginning of the organization. But I think it would be nice if we could say that, like, we plan to participate, or even we can, influence a bit the planning of the event, if we want to.
Right. Okay. Yeah, let's I maybe flush out the logistics maybe next week or something like that, right? All right. Or is there something that we have to participate in the discussion itself? Is that a forum that this will be discussed? So maybe we should join the call if we can.
It's discussed in the working group 6 course. of Silva, and to be honest, I don't know when these are, but maybe I can try to figure out when these calls are, and I can join to listen in how the organization is.
The next one is on. Next one is this Thursday.
Sorry, when?
The next one is this Thursday at 3 p.m. European time.
Okay, that I can do, I think.
Thursday. See, Thursday is 32nd. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Then with respect to the secrets, option 4 now, right? I mean, we always talk about config server, but at the end of the day, it's a process, right? So there is a resolver controller that does the resolution. Because I feel that, I mean, so why do I think basically the discussion between 3 and 4, so these were the two options that we discussed, are, okay, probably personal preferences of people, right? And given the majority is on this page, I said, okay, let's just do this, right? Now, yeah. So basically the resolution at the moment in the implementation is happening at the, so there is a resolver controller. So it's fine. That's why we always say config servers like data server. I think we should look at the functions where things are happening rather than the implementation, because I feel that for me, SDC is a system as a whole, right? And we have to do things in certain places, like we discussed validation last time. At the end of the day, okay, have to be executed in the data server pod, if you will, necessarily, if we need the schema awareness. So we should talk about more the functional components rather than the pod itself, right? Or the things where things are happening. If that makes sense. So the question is, how do we move forward? What are the open points? So how do we make progress is basically my question. Because I feel that all the implementation that happened right now, I don't know, what is the status of the data server right now? Or because at the moment in config server it's completely wired up, basically. I haven't tested end-to-end. I've added functional or let's say unit tests to check the functionality, but it's not tested end-to-end at the moment. The only thing that I tested end-to-end was that the previous functionality still worked, right, with the changes that I tested. But that's independent of the secret. Yeah, that's independent of the secrets. So yeah, so my question is, how do we proceed from here?
Data server. We have a data server branch that also wires it all up.
Okay.
I think my PC is restarting right now. Up without notice. So I'll be gone in a sec, I guess.
Okay.
It's wired up. So if you went to use the new Protos, then we can test.
Yeah, we should be able to. Yeah, so the new protocols are wired up. Yeah.
Okay.
To basically reflect the paths to the data server, right? So the sensitive paths are reflected to the data server.
Keyless.
Yes.
Cool. Then what we need to do, I introduced new functionality in the testing environment, basically. That if we name the branches, if the branch names are equal on config server and data server side, and we add a certain label to it, then we will run tests against main. That's the other change I did. We're testing now.
Oh, that's the
Now he's gone.
restart did happen. Yes.
Now he's gone.
I can continue that a little bit. So now in the integration tests, instead of testing against the last release, it's testing against the main branch. But if you have these two PRs with the same name and with this tag on the PR, it will then take the equivalent branch from the other component and test against that. So you can test then new features that require this coordination also in the integration tests before having to do a release and so on. That's the difference.
Right. And do we need both the branch names as well as the label, or can we not just do the label? Because today the branch
no, because
names,
you need to specify the branch name.
Yeah, but
otherwise
could
it
we
doesn't know
not-
which branch to label. It doesn't have a value, a label, right? It just has it's just a tag on the MR or a PR.
Okay,
Because you need to
could we not
specify
do-
which branch to use.
Could we not resolve it from the label?
The label is static, right? You have to you create them up front. Right? It's like this safe to test or good for beginners or so on. These are the labels. It doesn't have then a value associated with it. And I think if you start adding the name of the branch to the labels, you start to explode the number. It becomes harder to manage, in my view. There.
Yeah, the only problem is that typically branch names are local, right? So you don't typically coordinate them, because right now I don't know whether the branches are the same names or named the same. Sorry.
Mm. But they can be renamed as well. I think.
At the moment, I think what is the branch I use? I use sensitive as a branch, and in data server we use. I mean, I found it. Yeah, I mean, we have to probably check it, but yeah, typically branch names are.
Yeah, but I think we can just rename the branch in one of them. I think that's also fine.
See, yeah, typically you name them differently, right? But yeah, that they are named differently.
Yeah, but we can coordinate them and have them named the same. So.
Yeah. And so what do you do? So basically, let's say we have this, and then what do you do in, what does the functionality provide?
So if you go to the labels and set, I don't remember now exactly the name of the label, but you set this label on the MR, it will then, instead of taking the integration test pipeline, will then, instead of taking the main branch to test the components together, it will take the image built on the branch that's got the same name. So that means that if you are now working on the sensitive config, you need data server and config server to be able to communicate and have this later API functionalities. If you were to do it against main, this would not be included in the. Let's say you're working on config server. If you're pulling the main functionality from data server, it won't have this new functionality built in. So you then use this same branch and you will test against this branch instead. So this way you can work on features that require coordination between both components. That's the idea. I hope that was clear. Sorry if not.
Yeah, I get the gist of it. The question is, so there's probably, is there a PR on the integration test, I'm assuming? No.
Yeah, it's closed. I mean, it's merged in, so it's ready.
Okay.
Or it could be, it's not in integration test, it could be in the data server and config server, actually, could be. The repos themselves.
Because, yeah, if we do it, so here we test the individual, so we will not test, so we will basically see whether we don't break the existing functionality, right? Because for secrets, we need to build in new functionality anyhow in the integration test, right?
Yes, probably, yeah. It's this 455, the fourth one down.
This one?
Yeah.
Pair test, it is in this repo. Data server has pushed images. Okay. So because, yeah, so this will basically run the integration tests, right? And then, yeah, okay. So we need to add this to the label of the branch, and then we need to agree on the branch names, right? And then,
yeah, first the branch names need to be agreed on, and then once they're there and the MR's there, you can change or add this label.
okay.
And then it should work.
Okay. All right. Okay, we should try that because, yeah, so this is basically allowing us to test changes between both without using main. Okay. Then, so this will actually allow us to validate whether existing functionality still works, right? And then the next thing we have to do is test the new functionality and see whether that works, right? So that's right. So this allows us to check whether existing functionality still works, right?
Yeah. Existing and new functionality, right?
Yes, but for new functionality, we need to add new tests, right?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, but this means that you can at least make changes in data server and config server that depend on each other, and then still run the current tests.
Yeah. The problem that we have right now is that so the problem that we have right now is because we use main to build the artifacts, right? Is that if the artifacts change in config server, right, you actually you actually fail, right? If you introduce new artifacts, there is no way to validate them, right? Because the integration test use the one from main, as far as I that's what I see all the time. You see what I'm trying to say? So if I change, let's say, new artifacts in config server in a branch, the integration test still use main somehow, from what I saw in the past. So this allows to change that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, it does allow to change it. Yeah. So in that case, we could do it even without data server, right? We could still use data server in general. You see what I'm trying to say? Is like sometimes when we have to change new artifacts in config server due to whatever reason, right? That we potentially also need to do some improvement to allow that going forward. But yeah, what I was trying to say is that this allows us to test both together, right? And check for existing functionality. I think for new functionality, we need to change integration test anyhow, right?
Yes, we'll have to add some, but even then we'd need to have this alignment because we won't have the new functionality merged until integration tests pass, right? So we'd still need to have these this part where we can coordinate between having the latest version of both data server and config server to run those new integration tests as well.
No, it's a good thing. But yeah, so we probably need some more enhancement, is what I'm trying to say, for all the different use cases that we have seen in the past. Yeah, but yeah, this is a good step. But yeah, so the question is then, yeah, how do we check the rest of the functionality, right? And I think the one thing that is not implemented yet is the storage in the data server, right? It still uses its own cache. So we expose the sensitive data to it. So that's the functionality that still needs to be implemented, I guess. Is Marcus back?
No, he's not. Yes, yeah, probably, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, but that doesn't. We can test the rest of the functionality in the meantime, just to see whether functionally it works, right? Yeah, I can. Yeah. So the problem is, yeah, I need to have I'll be at the end of the week. We'll be able to do some further testing between both of them, right? The question is whether other people have time to actually put them together or not. In the meantime,
I'm not sure if I will this week. I'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's also the beginning of the week is pretty busy. So it will be more toward the end of the week that I will do some further testing. Yeah. So let me add this comment here. So implement with option 4. Yes. Resolution is in resolver controller. Yes. And it writes the sensitive config with resolved data. Right now, yeah, so maybe one of the implementation, so we could use, so the nice thing actually in the implementation, or one of the things that I think is nice is that we could use cell functions and stuff like that in the implementation. If we want to extend this, I haven't done that at the moment, but if we want to extend that to more advanced use cases, it would be possible, right? So yeah, I think there was a request at some point to go beyond secrets, so you could potentially.
Yeah, I think we should be careful about how far we go there. Otherwise, we become the one doing everything, and I don't think that that's the right solution. Secrets is a key part, but of actually configuration. But I think that this compilation or hydration of the config itself should not be something that's SDC.
True. Yeah. I agree. I stayed away from it. I'm just saying that implementation-wise, it's fairly easy to do, but I also agree that we should not go there, in my view. That's also, at the moment, the resolution is an exact match. So in other words, so what happens under the cover is, so it's resolved under, yeah. So basically, so if you see what is happening in the code, basically, if you look at if you look to the config server, I think I put the implementation here.
I'm back, by the way. Sorry for that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was trying to say it is an exact match implementation. Wait, where did I put it? Huh? Here, yeah. So this has to be an exact match, is what I'm trying to say. By the way, is the syntax okay? I use this syntax because it's the most used one for variable.
Yeah, I think this is, substitution. I think it makes sense to me.
And I called it vars, right? But there is, so this is a secret var. So we could, so I tried to design it that we could extend it to other things, but I also would like not to go there, but it's designed to allow for extensions if we really are desperate. Let me put it that way, right? But so what I'm trying to say is that this vars is this vars, right? And this name is this name, and it has to be an exact match, basically, right? That's how it's implemented, right? But you could, so what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, you could make this a cell function and do like all kinds of substitution and validation and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I didn't go there, right? Yeah, so that's basically, yeah. So what I'm trying to say is it's an exact match. Yeah. By the way, so Marcus, we were discussing the implementation of the cache, so that's probably not done yet, right? So is that the
No, I consider that a separate step.
Sure. So I'll copy this here. And we have it in 2 places, but that's okay. And then, so cache is to be implemented, right? Not exposing sensitive data.
Wait, what do you mean by that? So, but like, for now, my understanding was that the co-located config server component would expose some cache-ish interface, and data server would use that. Is
Yeah.
that what this?
I'm not saying how to do it. I'm saying that we should avoid exposing sensitive data in memory or disk.
Okay.
I'm not saying how we should do it here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to have a discussion then.
Yeah.
How we
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Have you maybe had a look at the cache?
No.
Protos? So then, I mean, the easiest obviously would be to make that config server component implement the cache. The cache Protos, right? And provide that interface.
Yeah, I haven't. No, I haven't looked at it at all.
Yep, no, that's
I
fine.
just know that it's something that we have to do as part of this system. Yeah. I haven't looked at. I just focused on getting the base functionality to work right for the time being, that we can make progress in validating the functionality, and then I think from the moment it works, this is the next thing that needs to be tackled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I think then we have, I would say, an MVP, right? Do we agree that that's the basis to get this released? And then the other thing that we need to do is we need to add integration tests, right? Validate this end to end. So I'm just trying to list the activities that still are pending here, right? Is there anything else? Okay. If not, we can always edit if needed. And I'll link the PR. Okay, then maybe I think, Alex, the other thing that you were questioning or asking about was this ordering and stuff like that. So the other thing that we can start doing is while we have or making progress on the secrets, right? So let's assume then the other open point is still the actions and stuff like that, right? So we somehow, I think, in parallel can start flushing out, in my view, the requirements that we want to accomplish. So there is this.
Yeah, and I think sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I was trying to get to is, yeah, how do we make progress on gathering the requirements for this, right? Because we can start to brainstorm or think in parallel what needs to happen here. Right?
Yeah, you can also ask some of the people internally if there's a way. Maybe we should have a proposal first, and then we can go to the engineers.
Okay. Because so there is, in my understanding is there is two questions right now that are somehow related. So there is one is there is a demand for ordering, right? Do I have that correct? So the
correct, yeah.
Requests. So there is two demands as far as I understand. One is ordering, right? Between.
Yep.
That has nothing to do with actions, or could be, but doesn't have to be related to action. Is ordering between configs, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And then there is a second is then actions is provide is have an ability for actions, right? To execute actions. And I'm assuming right now there is also an ordering demand for it, right?
Yes, likely.
Is likely required here as well. When I saw your message, right? One thing for ordering that we can do, I mean, if you just look at ordering without actions, we could add an order element in the configs, right? And then group all the ones in order and execute a transaction. So what happens today in config server is we have to discuss where we do it. But so right now, what happens is there is a grouping of all the data of configs that are grouped together, and then we create a transaction, right, with that grouped information. So one of the things that I was thinking about is that we could add, let's say, an order, let's say, element in the config CR, and then do the transaction. So we do waves, as I call it, right? So you basically execute a wave or a transaction based on an order number, right? So if you have, let's say, 2 CRs, or let's say 10 CRs, 5 with order 10 and the other with order 20, you first execute 10 and then 20, or the other way around, right? And so you would group them as 2 transactions, as many as you have orders, if that makes sense.
For the same target.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one option. That I was thinking about is like, right now what happens, so in config server, there is, to assemble the transaction, there is a grouping of all the configs are assembled together, and they are then grouped as a transaction. And so what you could do is basically extend that grouping with an indication of ordering, right? Now, of course, we have to be mindful of the fact that ordering, if you do have leaf ref validation and all that stuff, needs to take into account. So it's up to the user to ensure that these dependencies are then met, right? If not, it would fail. You see?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But that's one option that I was thinking. And then if we add actions, so not yet knowing what actions would be, is they would also be having an order in the same way, and then we execute. So we do a similar thing, right? So we provide them, whether we need a transaction or something else for actions, I don't know yet, right? But so you would do something similar there, basically, as a thought. Right? I believe that for actions, we probably need a new CR. Is my assumption.
Yeah, I think that's what we discussed before as well.
And then for actions, I always have I still have the question: do we execute them all the time or only once and stuff like that, right? So that was, I think, for actions. That was my recollection of, do we need to execute or only at specific points. Because the other thing that we have at the moment in config server, there is basically two phases. There is the phase of a target does not exist and you want to get the target back up and running, which is what I call recovery stage, right? So this is to get the system back into a known good state. And then there is everything that falls after, right? So the idea is that, so the recovery stage is a stage that is reflected by this condition, right? In the sense that what is happening there is that if a target goes, let's say, down or up again, right? So it basically, it flips its state. What we want to accomplish is that it comes back in a known good state, right? And so what happens in the recovery stage is, so from the moment the target is initialized, we go through these multiple phases, like you discover it, you initialize the target on the data server, then you do the recovery config, and then the target is set to condition true, right? So if we only need to put actions in the beginning, right? So only when the device initialized, there is an ability to edit in that stage, right? And then we could easily say, okay, these set of actions only need to be executed during target initialization, if you will, right? And then all the rest of the actions would be done all the time. So that's why I'm asking the question about, do we need to execute them all the time, or is there an initialization phase? So we have one initialization phase right now, which is this target reinitialization stage. And then we would, in the action, indicate something like at init only or something like that, and then the other actions would be always executed. I don't know whether something like that makes sense or not, but that's one of the things why I'm always asking the question, do we need to execute them all the time or not? Does it make sense or not?
Yeah, to me it does. I think the probably configurable is what makes sense. I don't know exactly. Yeah, the one example I have in my head would be like, one of them would be a one-off and the other ones would be repetitive. So
Yeah.
having both of those or somehow a way to configure that would be probably useful in my view.
Yeah. That was also my understanding, is somehow what I understood from your use case is that you need to initialize a database at startup or something like that, or some other secret store. So if that's the case, that fall into this initialization recovery space, right? So you would execute that action before anything else, right? And then you add the recovery config. And then if there's other actions without that flag, we would execute them in this order or something like that. But that was my high level thinking here. I don't know whether there's other ideas or proposals. So for config, so the idea is to add an ordering number, right? So maybe I'll add a proposal here, right? So for ordering of config / actions, right? We could add order number in the CR, right? And then when CS groups the transactions, we use this order number to execute multiple transactions in order, right? So if a user specifies, 10 orders, right? It would be 10 transactions, right? Per target, right? 10 orders in the configs. But okay, this is just a proposal. And then for actions, we have a stage during recovery that allows for initialization. It could execute.
I would also add allows for initialization and allows failures, because potentially we might want to have something that, I mean, in our case, this initialization is idempotent, but it could be that some of them are not, and we still want to continue anyway and not fail.
Okay, it could.
That could be just something that I think. Sorry.
Yeah. So your question is, for actions, we should have a flag to indicate initialize only or something like that, right? As well as failure, right?
Yeah, something like this. Or allow failure on failure, yeah.
On failure policy.
Yeah, something like this. In fact, on failure policy could be something in general, right? Not just for initialization.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I'm just yeah, this text is not. I'll jump it through AI before I commit. But I just wanted to capture some high level thoughts, right?
Yeah, no, makes
then
sense.
that we need to do is we need to then look on how such a CR looks like, right? Because I feel, do you feel that this could fit into the config CR?
I mean, we have path and config as sections. I mean, I don't know if it's nice to put it there. It could be. Maybe we have the config section, right, with the config blobs. But it doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, yeah, an action doesn't necessarily indicate that it's a config. Plus, netconf actions are netconf actions, not, I mean, GNMI doesn't have these, right? Or it has something equivalent, maybe.
Yeah, you have gRPC, you have GNOI basically as a, so they have a separate
different interface, right?
Something different basically.
So I would maybe keep it separate.
Yeah, I also feel it's better to separate it, not to overload it. And then the question is, how do we design it? Do we make a specific netconf one or a GNMI one? All right, let's focus on netconf initially, I would say here.
The netconf is in the Yang schema, so at least we know this.
And
it's very similar
GNOI
to
is
the
completely
config.
separate. Yeah, it's a completely different part or service. It's a different gRPC service, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I have the feeling it's better to make it a dedicated one. Yeah. Okay. Anything else better to make specific? Yeah, yeah, I need to jump on another call in a bit. Actually, yeah, if someone is wanting to make a proposal, that's fine for me as well, right? So, but I'll have a look at this. So we need to probably make progress parallel here, right?
Think we need to be careful. I'm sensing that you want to do this ordering and so on in config server, right?
I'm just saying that is one option.
No. I think we need to be careful, because if we also go and change the cache stuff and point it to that config server component, right? Then you would need to have state across these calls, right? Because if the data store is in step 3, whatever, but there's also step 4 and 5 config, like data server itself wouldn't know when asking for all of the configs and so on, right? So we would have to have distributed state management and so on. I mean, yeah, however that might turn out in the end, but yeah, I would be cautious with distributing that state amongst multiple components, I guess. Just as something that comes to my mind, right?
Yeah, but the state is, I mean, the state is coming from the configs, right? So and the execution.
Yeah, but see, you're in phase 2 for data store X. You're telling it like apply this, but at the same time, it's already doing deviation calculation, and it's asking that data server component, that config server component, what's sitting in data server right now, right, for all the configurations that it should report deviations for, and do the blaming and so on, right? So, and it doesn't know, like, let's assume it obviously doesn't know what phase it is in, so it's asking like, give me all that stuff, right? So from that transaction part, you would have to have some information leakage going over to the receiver of that call to know like which intends to send to the data store in data server then. Right? So that's like where we would have to tangle all of it together. Whilst if we do that somehow in data server, we might and it's like going through these phases. I don't know. I'm just saying there is tricky bits with possibly distributed state in here, and we should be careful how we go about it.
Yeah, but even today, some of that functionality is already there, because you need to get access to the old config and to the new state, right? So that is already built into the secret implementation that we did, or that I did. So we just,
but now it's we have to go through the phases then,
yeah,
right?
but anyhow, the transaction phase is orchestrated from that point, right? So you know, right? But okay, I get your point, right? So
I'm just saying, like in what we discussed right now here, there's 2 or 3 components, right? Like the component that is building the cache, like what is now the cache. There is the one that's steering the transaction, and there is data server. And if we pull it apart, like the two on the config server side would need some sort of um,
Coordination is what you're saying.
coordination, exactly,
Yeah.
to figure out which phases they're in and
Yeah,
so on,
correct, yeah.
right?
But even what I'm trying to say is that even that that is even there today, right? Because you could ask for or you could ask for let's say, give me the cash, and the transaction is ongoing, right? Then we need to
Yeah, if you ask the cache, it only knows what data server knows, right? Because data server is writing into it. But like if we like take cache into the config server side being fed by the Cube API, then it like everything that's already in the Cube API is part of that cache.
no, but see, okay, there is a separate. So I separated that implementation into what is committed versus not, right? So what I'm trying to say is that information is already taken care of,
Okay.
based on the transaction.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, based on the transaction state, that information is updated because we have that issue independent of ordering. In my
That
view.
would basically be the ready flag. But yeah, I mean, there is still like stuff that's right now being applied. Yeah, I don't know. Right now being applied would be in some transient state that is not reflect. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see.
We have to test it. Yeah. But yeah, so it's independent of the issue you highlight. I think is independent of the ordering. It's okay, but yeah, so let's brainstorm a little bit. If some people want to make progress with some thoughts, I think for me the most important thing is to see is that not where what happens, but the type of functionality that we are aiming for, right? I think that's for me the most important thing is trying to understand that what we list here, not how we do it yet, right? But how we list it is the most important thing, right? If that captures the functionality or not. That's for me the most important thing right now, and we should try to make progress in parallel here if we can, right?
Yeah.
Because that allows us to speed up this, right? I'll rephrase this with AI because I think I just wanted to brainstorm a little bit on the thoughts, but yeah. All right.
There is more stuff from my side. There is a pending PR, which is 455 on config server.
Okay.
We have had the discussion that it's bad to run against the latest released version of, like, from a config server side of data server, and from data server side the config server side. I've changed that on the equivalent of PR 455 on config server is already implemented on data server. What that does is it's pointing to the main branch of like this one pointing to the main branch of data server, right? If like there's nothing else, but then it allows you to add this paired test label.
Yeah, we
A
discussed
certain branch.
We discussed it with Alex before, I think. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, that needs your tick off, I guess, as a second review. That would be good.
Yeah. I'll have a look. Yeah, I'll have a look at this. The only thing that I was looking at is whether we could, allow for these branches to be independent. but
From a name wise, so what do you mean?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
then we would have to, I mean, renaming a branch and pushing it again is not that big of a deal. So like for that sensitive data, I can do it. And then like next time something like this shows up, we simply have to take a look at the other repo, take a look if there's already a PR with a mentioned branch, and then like rename before pushing or something. So I don't see it as that big of a deal. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If we find other options, then fine.
Yeah. I'll have a look at it. Yeah.
And then there's the other one that Alex pushed. I think we can also quickly give that a review. That's migrating the API service certificate to one from issued by cert manager.
Yeah, we'll discuss it. I need to jump. I need to basically prepare for a call, Marcus. So let's.
Yeah, sure.
We'll have a look.
I'm just saying that's also part of the security topics that we discussed that we want to get out early. Cheers.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yeah. Cheers.
Have a good
Bye.
rest of the day. Bye, everyone.